Husbands of bridezillas, how did you handle your wife's attitude on your wedding day, and did it change your image of her? Also, how bad was she? Was the best man for a bridezilla wedding, and we really thought the groom was going to call it off because of her antics that day and previously. We found out she had a secondary guest list that included more of her folks and less of his folks, about a week before, and the stress of getting his folks there almost ended him. It was finally a combination of her mother and his mother, alone in a room with her, hours before the ceremony, that scared her straight. She was not a spoiled girl, but she had fully bought into the "today is your day" mindset and didn't actually take the pushback from everyone seriously. If I was about to get married to one, I would go through the process and then say I don't. If she acts like that on what's supposed to be her best day, I don't want to see her at her worst. Seriously, instead of quietly calling it off beforehand, you would compound the heartache of a breakup by publicly humiliating her in front of all her friends and family. No one deserves that, especially not the person you profess to love. If someone is stressed, I wouldn't do it. But if someone is going to be a B-word for the hell of it, I would be a B-word back. Probably for the best. With an attitude like that, there's absolutely no way you can have a happy marriage with anyone. My wife didn't go full on bridezilla, but it was definitely pretty clear that the stress was getting to her. All the Instagram browsing, wedding magazine reading, and YouTube watching she was doing had created a set of extremely unrealistic expectations. Certain things got so built up in her head that when the reality didn't match up, it was hard for her not to feel a little bit let down. And for me, it was hard to hear her talk about how much she hated her dress, our venue, the decorations, etc., and how terrible and gaudy and disappointing our wedding was going to be. I found that we were fighting a lot more frequently too, which really made me start to worry about that this was a red flag, until I googled "fighting before wedding" and found out what a common thing it was. Ultimately, I'd say it was an overall positive experience because I got to see her pull herself back up from the edge of being a bridezilla and use her intelligence and reason to control her emotions. It gave me even more confidence in the future of our relationship because I could see that when difficult times or hard emotions come, she's willing to talk it through and recognize that her feelings might not reflect the truth of the situation. I'd probably have a much different response if instead of sobbing quietly to me privately, she threw a big public screaming fit, like a full-on bridezilla. But as it is, I think it wound up okay. My wife was really chill about the whole thing, honestly. But is there a term for future mother-in-law-zilla? 'Cause we had that, which was too bad because she usually isn't that way in life. And for years it colored the way my family viewed her. Groomzilla here. We did a costume wedding, and the day of the wedding, our seamstress was hit by a bus, and none of the 16 outfits were ready. The maid of honor rushed to the seamstress's house to pick what we could. None of the outfits were ready, and the seamstress was watching Netflix on her couch. Maybe it was a tiny bus? I called my best man explaining the situation and told them to skip breakfast and get over here ASAP. 45 minutes later, I called again, only to find they were at IHOP waiting on food. I lost my freaking stuff at that point, considering we were in crisis mode, and they were scarfing down pancakes. Years later, I feel pretty justified. But I wish I hadn't lost my cool. Lots of yelling and screaming. As for the wedding, the bridesmaids spent the entire morning, afternoon sewing on buttons and fixing the stuff the seamstresses missed. The guys' costumes were fixed up, but the girls ended up renting outfits from a local costume shop last minute. They all looked like Disney princesses, and it was wonderful. So no harm, no foul, I guess. And as for the seamstress, she never called us back to collect on her invoice. Maybe she was hit by a bus. I'm getting married this Saturday and thanking my lucky stars that my fiancé has been surprisingly easygoing this whole process. It helps that we've both done theater for a long time, so stressful weeks leading into an opening night is not all that unusual for us. What a great comparison! If you think about it, weddings really are scripted and staged to the tiniest detail, just like something you could watch on Broadway. I refused to get involved with technical stuff, had a reception only to make wife happy, kept the guest list to the bare minimum. I am not a Scrooge, but did not want to spend a load of money on one event on people I don't know or socialize often with. The same approach for Christmas celebrations. That poor bride got herself a party poop squinch goblin. Congratulations. Wedding photographer here who also planned a wedding at one point. Honestly, 95% of stressed out brides are that way because either their fiancé is entirely unhelpful, doesn't care about the wedding, or their mom is giving them grief. I can say as a photographer, I have more issues with moms than with brides. And as a former bride, I can say that I was ready to wring my own mother's neck. So, my ex-fiancé called me a bridezilla when I would ask his opinion on what he preferred. I'm not a great planner, and planning a wedding all alone was hard. It was even harder when he would tell me to shut up about it when I would ask what he would prefer. I can't remember what the thing was, but one day he told me he hated something I had chosen and couldn't believe I would do that. He was actually angry. Like, dude, if you had shared your opinion instead of telling me to shut up when I asked, this wouldn't be an issue. He's an ex for a reason, but being called a bridezilla was hurtful because I was trying so hard to make everybody happy, especially him. I realize now I wasn't being a bridezilla at all. But he had me convinced I was some kind of monster. Was actually interviewed for the show Bridezillas. I said I wouldn't get married if we were on that show. Anyway, she was the same during the marriage. It was a typical bad marriage because of finances. She was a spendthrift and living that way just causes much suffering. We had an expensive wedding that I'm still paying for. Wow, until your comment I always thought spendthrift meant someone was thrifty, but it's the opposite. Interesting. Sounds like you're out? If so, I'm glad. Yep, we divorced years ago. I still get collection calls for her, so we'll always have that. There are two forms of bridezilla. One, it's not a bridezilla at all. The relationship has always been that way. 2. Frustration and exhaustion from the toll of the emotional labor of being the only one involved in planning a complicated event. Quite frankly, I didn't realize I was causing my fiancé to be number 2. I picked up my slack and we had a wonderful time planning and executing our wedding. Good on you for being one of the rare exceptions who realizes what's happening despite the emotional toil. I hope you've enjoyed a lovely marriage since then. It's been great. It was a major learning experience for me. I wish I did more in the beginning, but I have a lifetime to make up for it. I also had no idea how much emotional labor women take on, especially involuntarily. Alright you guys, that's it for today. Have a lovely, lovely day and see you in my next video.